Listen to this for a second. Those clicks are sperm whales talking to each other in the deep. And for 50 years, one man was certain they meant something. His name was Roger Payne. In 1970, he released an album of whale song that became the best-selling nature recording in history, and it helped ignite the Save the Whales movement. He spent the rest of his life convinced that the giants of the ocean weren't just making noise. They were saying something. Roger Payne died in June of 2023, and 11 months later, a paper he had helped write proved he was onto something extraordinary. Hidden inside those clicks, an artificial intelligence had found the closest thing yet to an alphabet. For as long as we have dreamed of talking with animals, the dream hit the same wall. We had no key, no Rosetta Stone, no dictionary between us and them, and their sounds were too vast and too strange for any human to crack by ear. So, it stayed a fantasy, the stuff of children's books, until the same technology behind ChatGPT turned its attention to the ocean, the savanna, and the forest. And in just 2 years, it has not nudged this problem forward. It has cracked it wide open. This is the story of how machines are learning to read the voices of other species, how close we really are to answering back, and the $10 million prize now driving the race. Let's start with the whales. Sperm whales don't sing. They click. Rapid little bursts of sound called codas, fired back and forth a mile down in the dark. For decades, researchers believed sperm whales had a small vocabulary, around 21 of these click patterns, and not much more. Then, a team at MIT, working with a whale research project called CETI, tried something new. They took nearly 9,000 codas, recorded over more than a decade from whale families off the Caribbean island of Dominica, and handed them to machine learning. What the AI found, published in the journal Nature Communications in 2024, shook the field. The whales were not choosing from a menu of 21 fixed calls. They were building each coda out of separate ingredients. The rhythm of the clicks, the tempo or speed, a smooth stretching of the timing they called rubato, and an extra little flourish of a click they called ornamentation. And here is the crucial part. Those ingredients combine. Mix and match a few simple building blocks, and you can make a huge number of distinct patterns, 156 of them. That is not a list of calls. That is the same trick human language uses, building endless words out of just a handful of sounds. As one of the scientists put it, this challenges the belief that complex communication is unique to humans. And then, it got stranger. In 2026, the same team published again, this time in the Journal of the Royal Society. They reported that sperm whale clicks appear to contain something like vowels, two distinct sounds that behave the way the vowel sounds R and E do in human speech. The researchers called it one of the closest parallels to human language ever found anywhere in the animal kingdom. Now, here is the honest and important caution, because this is exactly where it's easy to get carried away. Nobody has translated a single whale word. The AI did not find meaning. It found structure. It found the alphabet, not the dictionary. But finding the alphabet is precisely how you begin. And the whales are only the beginning, because once you point this kind of AI at animal sound, the discoveries start arriving from everywhere. Take elephants. In 2024, researchers in Kenya fed almost 500 elephant calls to a model to work out who each call was aimed at. And they found something we thought was uniquely human. Elephants appear to call each other by name, not by imitating the other elephant sound, the way a dolphin echoes a friend's whistle, but with an arbitrary label. A made-up name, the same way you did not earn yours by sounding like it. Play an elephant, a recording of its name, and it perks up and answers. Play it someone else's, and it barely reacts. Then, there is the humpback whale. A separate team spent 8 years recording humpback songs and discovered that the songs secretly obey a law of human language. It's called Ziff's law. In every human language, a few words get used constantly, while most are rare, and they fall into a very specific mathematical pattern. Humpback song follows that exact same pattern, and that is a fingerprint. not of instinct, but of something learned and handed down. Culture, the way a language is. The biggest technology companies have noticed. Google DeepMind built an AI called Dolphin Gemma, trained on 40 years of recordings from a project that has been swimming with the same dolphin families since 1985. It runs on a phone underwater and predicts what sound a dolphin will make next. Exactly the way your phone predicts your next word. As the project's lead scientist put it, instead of spending 150 years analyzing the recordings by hand, the model finds the patterns in days. And a nonprofit called Earth Species built a single AI that works across thousands of species at once. Birds, whales, even crows. As one of its founders puts it, this is not about giving animals a voice, it's about finally being able to listen to the voice they already have. All of this has turned a quiet scientific dream into a genuine race. And there is now a prize. A British investor named Jeremy Collar, together with Tel Aviv University, created an annual award of $100,000 for breakthroughs in decoding animal communication. And on top of that, a grand prize, $10 million for the first team to reach the real goal. Two-way conversation with another species. And the condition is strict and just a little bit eerie. You have to communicate with the animal so naturally that it does not even realize it is talking to a human. The first prize went in 2025 to a team that found dolphins in Florida, sharing whistles that may work like words. And the race is heating up. As I make this, 4 finalists are shortlisted for the 2026 prize, with the winner announced on June 25th. One showed that bonobos combine their calls into structured sequences, a little like simple sentences. Another recorded more than 120,000 squeaks from striped mice. Others are decoding zebra finches and chimpanzees. But everyone serious about this is careful to say the same thing. As one prize judge put it, the dream is fluent, two-way conversation. And we are still a long way from that goal. So before we get swept away, it is worth asking a hard question. Have we been here before? And the answer is yes. Twice. Once with a triumph and once with an embarrassment. The triumph is a script called Linear B. A century ago, archaeologists dug up clay tablets on the island of Crete, covered in writing no one could read, in a language dead for 3,000 years. There was no Rosetta Stone, no translation to lean on. And yet, working purely from the patterns inside the symbols, a scholar named Alice Kober, and then a young architect named Michael Ventris cracked it. In 1952, Ventris proved the language was an early form of Greek, a lost human language recovered with no key from structure alone, which is almost exactly what AI is now doing to the clicks of the whale. But there is the embarrassment too, and it matters even more. In the 1970s, scientists taught sign language to apes, a chimpanzee named Washoe, a gorilla named Coco, and the world was electrified. Here were animals, it seemed, using hundreds of words, even forming sentences. And then the scrutiny came. A researcher named Herbert Terrace studied the tapes frame by frame and reached a deflating conclusion. The apes were not really using language. They were imitating their trainers and signing for treats, and the hopeful humans around them were reading meaning into noise. There's even a name for the trap, the clever Hans effect, after a horse that seemed to do arithmetic but was really just reading its owner's body language. The lesson is humbling. We have fooled ourselves before. The danger was never that the animals had nothing to say. It's that we want them to be like us so badly that we hear words that are not there. And that is the real reason this moment is genuinely different. Not because today's scientists are smarter than Coco's were, but because the method changed. An AI does not fall in love with one charismatic animal. It does not want anything at all. It simply measures across thousands of hours of sound, hunting for structure that holds up statistically, whether we like the answer or not. It is the most patient and the least sentimental listener we have ever built. Which brings us to the strangest question of all. If we actually crack this, what would we even say? And should we? Because there is a real risk hiding in here. If an AI can generate the sounds an animal responds to, then it can also manipulate that animal, lure it, deceive it. As one leading researcher warned, say the wrong thing and we could cause real distress and disrupt social bonds and cultures that have been forming for millions of years. To gain the power to talk to another species is also to gain power over it. And the conversation itself might humble us. As one scientist gently pointed out, interspecies communication will probably happen. It will just be far more boring than people like to imagine. I would love to talk to my cat, he said, but it might be a very limited conversation. The animals are not tiny humans waiting to discuss philosophy. They have their own concerns: food, family, danger, the sea. And another researcher asked the question that really lingers. If we want to talk to the animals, are we actually ready to listen to what they tell us? There is a strange echo in all of this. For more than 60 years, we have pointed radio telescopes out at the stars, searching for a signal from a non-human mind. We called it the search for alien intelligence, and we have heard nothing. The irony is almost too perfect. The other minds were here the entire time, singing beneath the boat, calling each other by name across the savannah. We were so busy listening to the sky that we forgot to listen to the earth. Roger Payne understood that better than anyone. Half a century ago, he simply played the world a recording of a whale singing, and it changed how we treated an entire species. We largely stopped hunting them because for the first time, we had actually heard them. And now, an AI is beginning to reveal that those songs and clicks may carry far more than we ever imagined. We are not talking with the animals yet. We may never completely get there. But for the first time in the history of our species, we are truly learning to listen, because the question was never really whether they are talking. It is whether we are finally ready to hear them.